it is expected to grow in huge quantity. If you see today's, I think I was going through a news, and for fighting COVID relief fund, today I think Nirmala, our finance minister, is expected to announce some package, and according to some news channel, people are telling 20,000 crore has been given for the development of fisheries sectors, and mostly cold water fishes will also be cold water fishes will also considered for the means relief package. Now I'll be going to the some of the common ornamental fishes available in India. We are having both our intrinsic and exotic species are available in India. Some of the species available in India are shown in the slides. If you can see, can you see the slides?
Yeah, sir. Everybody is doing, sir.
Okay. So some of the common fishes of Indian water are like zebrafish, glassfish, gourami, then black shark, black knife, rosy barb, high fin barb, denisoni, dwarf gourami. All these things, all are Indian. All are present in Indian water and native to India. Then you'll find some of the exotic ornamental fish species I have presented here in the slide. Oscar, black shark, Siamese, fighting fish, goldfish. Goldfish, people think that it is Indian common carp, but Carassius auratus is an exotic breed coming from European country. Koi carp, kissing gourami, red-tailed black shark. This red-tailed black shark is a labio bicolor.
Hello.
Is one.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, Vivek is there. Sir, slides are not visible, sir.
Slides, I think from
One-
there.
One minute. Slides are not visible. 1 minute.
No.
1 minute.
From their side, means your side, it will be managed.
Oh, okay.
1 minute. Is it visible now? No. One minute, sir.
You can share these slides also. If anybody is interested, you can give it, sir.
Yeah, sir.
I'll just rush through the slides for your convenience. Those who have not seen the slides, this is just an introductory slides. This is what I have gone through.
Sir, now slides are showing, sir.
Okay. Vivek, is it okay? Okay. So this is the slide. So in the Indian ornamental fishes, what we are having in our water, zebrafish, glassfish, honey gourami, and all. Rosy barb. These are native to India, and some of the exotic ornamental fishes. What I was telling was this labio bicolor red-tailed black shark is one of the very common fish you might have seen in so many aquariums. Whole body will be black and tail will be red, and this is one of the most sought after fish in India after goldfish. Then cardinal tetra, neon tetra, angelfish. Angelfish again is one of the most common, one of the very common exotic ornamental fish to be used in India. Then Arauna, discus, three-spot gourami. Next, please, global exports of ornamental fish 2000 to 2016. If you'll see how we have. Smith, are you slide number?
I'm here only.
Global exports of ornamental fish from 2000 to 2016. I have just tried to show you how it has increased, and now almost 337 US million dollar is the export value of ornamental fishes. Next, please, slide number 9. This is region-wise export market share in the world. If you'll see, Asia is the highest exporter from value-wise. $197.7 million from only from Asia is getting exported to the world, and then comes European market, that is 95.8 US million dollar. And if you'll see top 10 exporting countries in terms of value. Earlier it was area-wise, Asia, then Europe, South America, North America, Africa, Oceania, or you can say Australia and Middle East. Then if you go to the country-wise, you'll find Singapore, after Singapore, Spain, and then Japan, and so on. It is next, please. Now, nutritional requirement of ornamental fishes. Why we are going for ornamental fishes? It is clear because huge domestic as well as export market is available. We are having so many numbers of indigenous species. Now, what we need to do is, when we are planning to export or culture these ornamental fishes, first and foremost thing is we must know what we should feed. And one advantageous thing with the ornamental fish is they require very low amount of feed. And if you'll see, the feeding requirements fluctuate from 3.8 milligram feed per day per gram body weight, that is for neon tetra, to 25.79 milligram feed per day per gram of body weight in goldfish. Goldfish is, of course, a voracious feeder. So per gram body weight, you are giving only 25 milligram of feed, or in some small fishes like platy, molly, all these things, you require very small quantity, 3 to 4 milligram per day. So this is means in our advantage from the point of view of a farmer, that you need not to expend so much on feeding. So it is very clear that how much feed is required. Then nutritional requirement, if you see the ornamental fish nutritional requirement, any fish, if you go for nutritional or feed formulation, you require only few things: protein, carbohydrate, lipid, vitamins, minerals, and moisture. And on the basis of moisture content, feeds are divided into different types, that is dry feed, semi-moist, moist, and wet feed. Dry fish contain 7 to 12% of moisture. Semi-moist feed contain 12 to 25% of moisture. Moist feed contain 25 to 45% of moisture, and wet feed 45 to 75% of moisture. This is just I do not want to make it very academically oriented, but still you should know these are the classification of feed, and we used to give both dry and semi-moist feed to the ornamental fishes. If we are keeping in aquarium, almost dry feed we are giving, dry and floating feed. But for culture, we can use semi-moist, moist feed also. So the crude protein requirement in the slide, it is slide number 11. You can see the protein requirement in different commercially important ornamental fishes varies from 25 to 48%. 30 minimum is 30%, and 32 it goes up to 53% depending upon the species to species. Now, lipids and essential fatty acid is very important in ornamental fish feed. Lipids, 8% lipid is generally used, but if you are making homemade feed or on-site feed, you can use 3 to 5%. But few species shows better result when they are fed with 8 to 16% of lipid At same level of protein, it has been seen that when lipid content is 8 to 16%, it shows better result. Then you require essential fatty acid like linoleic acid, linolenic acid, and that is for mainly for freshwater fishes. And if you go for marine ornamental fishes, you require essential fatty acid like eicosapentaenoic acid, EPA or DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, for their proper growth. These fatty acids are not only important for their day-to-day activity, and these are not only for providing energy, but it is important for so many other purposes, like maintaining the liquidity of the plasma membrane of the cells, and then these are these essential fatty acids plays important role in synthesis of eicosanoids, leukotrienes, which is important as your immunologically leukotrienes are very important. But I'm not going that side. It is important for your egg yolk formation, egg formation. Omega-3 fatty acid are very crucial and important. So quantity, when if you'll go for breeding or uh, at the late stage of the ovulation and all, you should increase the quantity of omega-3 fatty acid in the diet. These are some source of fatty acids which is commonly used in ornamental fish feeding. You can see what are the important source of essential fatty acids in ornamental fishes. Very common are these tubifex, black tubifex, red tubifex, earthworms. These are very common feed ingredient of ornamental fishes. Even mosquito larvae. Mosquito larvae also contain sizable quantity of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acid. You will see mosquito larvae contains higher quantity of omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acid than the earthworm. Live feed is very important. Live feed is means given it is considered as a nutrient capsule for not only for ornamental fishes but for all the fishes, because it contains almost everything: carbohydrate, protein, then lipid, fatty acid, amino acids. Along with this, live feed gives so many enzymes which provide ready-made enzymes to the ornamental fishes, and it digestibility becomes better when we are feeding with live feeds. Vitamins and minerals. Most of the fish species require vitamin supplementation, which vary according to species, size, food rates. Environmental factors are of course there. Like suppose temperature is higher. If it is a comfortable temperature, it will grow fast, and if it is growing fast, you require so many bodybuilding enzymes also, and then there vitamins and minerals acts as a cofactors for the enzymes. So vitamins and minerals are very important. All the vitamins, either it is fat soluble vitamin A, D, E, and K, or B complex vitamins, everything is important. But I will mention vitamin E and C are very important because vitamin E gives antioxidant property, and vitamin C also plays an important role in antioxidation, antioxidant quality in feed. Along with their antioxidant property, vitamin E is helping in maturation of the ornamental fish or any other fish also. It is important for maturation, and vitamin C is one of the vitamins which plays important role in the formation of antibody. So disease fighting capacity also provided by the vitamin C. Vitamin C is essential in many metabolic processes, including collagen synthesis, protection of cell membrane, metal absorption, and detoxification also is done by vitamin C. Several authors has worked on the vitamin C requirement of fishes and some ornamental fishes. I will see 25 milligram of ascorbic acid diet is sufficient to prevent the clinical manifestation of vitamin C deficiency. If you will see uh, requirement of different vitamins, if vitamin C content in the ornamental fishes are getting lesser than 25 milligram per kg of the diet, you will see so many clinical manifestation will be there. Commonly is lordosis and scoliosis. You might have seen there is a bend in the vertebral column. That is because of vitamin C, and some of the mineral deficiency also cause scoliosis and lordosis. Commonly calcium and phosphorus. Phosphorus deficiency also causes scoliosis and lordosis. So we should always ensure that vitamin C should be in sufficient quantity whenever we are making the uh, feed for ornamental fishes. While talking about vitamin C, I would like to tell you that vitamin C is a thermolabile vitamin. So I'll tell you in the last of this section how to mix the ingredient and how to cook. We need before going for pelletization, we need to cook the dough or our ingredient for better utilization and absorption. So what we used to do is vitamin C should be added at the last because it is thermolabile. If you are cooking it, the vitamin C will get destroyed and it won't be available for the organism or your ornamental fishes for utilization. So we should always take care while preparation of feed. Vitamin should be added at the last. In angelfish, ascorbic acid or vitamin C level should be above 360 milligram of per kg of diet. In some of the other fishes, ascorbic acid content should be 120 milligram per kg of the diet. It's not per kg of the fish, per kg of the diet. So we should always see that we should always ensure that there should be sufficient quantity of vitamin C in our feed. Similarly, Oscar and some of the fish like catfish, if we'll go for culture fish and all, only 10 ppm or 10 milligram or 11 milligram per kg vitamin C is enough. For tilapia, 50 ppm of vitamin C is enough. But if you'll see ornamental fishes, their vitamin C requirement is little higher than, not little, it is almost twice or thrice of the culture fish requirement. Other food fish requirement of the vitamin C. I have just tried to show you in this slide number 19, the vitamin A and vitamin C requirement of some of the ornamental fishes. It varies from 25 milligram per kg of feed to 360 milligram per kg of feed. And vitamin A is 2000 to 4000 IU. IU is international unit per kg of feed. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, but someone has unmuted. Please, sir, unmute your mic, sir.
That's what some voice.
Raju Gopal sir speaking, I think. Hello.
1 minute, sir.
हेलो स्मिथ,
हाँ सर, मैं कर दिया उनको मैं.
वो थोड़ा स्लाइड ऊपर नीचे हो रहा है. मींस व्हाट सर इज टेलिंग दैट स्लाइड इज नॉट ऑन द स्क्रीन. दैट इज व्हाई.
Actually, sir, the thing is that I have to monitor both with this Raj Gopal Naresh means audience as well as present session. That's why the thing is like that.
Okay.
Slide number 20.
Sir,
Slide
please.
number 20 I am on. The most important, I
Huh.
have
Uh,
finished vitamin requirement, vitamin because I can't go through all the vitamins, and the most important minerals we are talking include calcium, phosphorus, copper, iodine, iron, magnesium, manganese, selenium, and zinc. You might be knowing selenium and zinc plays important role in oocyte development. But if you'll see any fish, they take mineral mainly from gills through the water. And that's why one minerals I would like to mention here is phosphorus, because phosphorus content in water is very less, and that's why we need extra effort to add phosphorus into our feed, because they can't draw it from the water. So phosphorus is one of the important mineral we should always consider to mix in the feed of either it's food or ornamental fish. And then we require calcium also. Calcium and phosphorus both are required. And phosphorus not only it gives strength to the bone, is essential for lipid and carbohydrate metabolism also. And that's why it is commonly supplemented. Then this was just a glimpse of carbohydrate, protein, lipid, carbohydrate. So many studies has been going able to utilize that. One important things which we should take care in ornamental fish feed is because the entire business of the ornamental fish is dependent on the color of the fish. Brighter the color, darker the color, more will be the price of the ornamental fish. And that's why you need extra additives, some of the important additives to be added in the ornamental fish so that you can enhance the color. So pigmentation, slide number 21.
yeah, sir.
Skin color. The skin coloration is one of the most important factors which decide the aesthetic value, therefore the market value of ornamental fish. Pigmentation in the skin is responsible for the coloration in the fish. Now, how this pigmentation will develop? In natural environment, fishes meet their some of the important additives are carotenoids, which gives the color. So, carotenoids requirement in natural water, it is coming from different kinds of aquatic plants and algae. They provide these pigments or carotenoids because fishes do not have their de novo carotenoid synthesis pathway, and that's why it is important to, when you are feeding from outside, it is important to add carotenoids or any color giving compounds in the feed, or if it is in natural water they will draw it from the aquatic plant or algae or any of these things. The enhancement of coloration can be done by administrating pigment enriched feed. Slide number 23. Carotenoids are the primary source of pigmentation on the skins. You might be knowing what is carotenoid. Carotenoid is a tetraterpenoid, so I'll be just pressing it. Carotenoids are responsible for many of the colors, mainly red, orange, and yellow hues of plant, legume, fruits, flowers they are getting from. Yellow and red shades are the two color most effectively influenced by color enhancing foods. If you'll see, there are fishes which are having blue color. Some fishes will have green color. It means it is a bit tough to enhance the green color and blue color, but red and yellow color, red, yellow, and orange color, you can very easily enhance. But one thing is there, if you keep the fish healthy and good quality of feed is given to fish, the color will automatically be brighter. For any color, either it is green or blue. But for red, yellow, and orange, what we used to do is we used to add some of the additives. Some of the chromatophores are the same coloration. They absorb all other colors and reflect only few colors. Like xanthophores will reflect only yellow color and they will enhance yellow color. Erythrophores will be responsible for red color in the skin, melanophores for black color, and leucophores or iridophores is responsible for reflective crystal. Like you might have seen silvery color or very brightly shining color. That is because of leucophores. Is a type of cells in the fish. Now, slide number 25. Now, I'll be just giving a glimpse of carotenoids. Carotenoids are tetraterpenoid organic pigments that are naturally occurring in the plant chloroplast and chromoplast. Okay, some of other photosynthetic organisms like algae, some of the bacteria, and some fungus also produce carotenoids. But fishes do not have, they do not have the de novo synthesis pathway for carotenoids. So carotenoids and its types. Carotenoids are of different types. One is oxygen-free carotenoids. Slide number 26, Smith. Oxygen-free carotenoids are carotene, lycopenes. Lycopenes you are getting from tomato, of course. Alpha, beta, and gamma carotenes. Then oxycarotenoids, which are carotenoids along with the oxygen. They are xanthophylls. Means yellow leaves. Xanthophylls literally means it's a yellow leaf. So we are having carotenoids, different types of carotenoids, oxygen-free carotenoids and oxycarotenoids. So main color-giving carotenoids are oxycarotenoids and xanthophylls. Carotenoids and its types, you will see fishes contain various kinds of carotenoids. Most dominant of them are for color. Butene will give greenish color. You can add that. And now it depends. People can ask how much quantity of these things we can add. General notion is it should not be added more than 5 ppm, 5 milligram per kg of the feed. Zeaxanthin gives yellow and orange color. Canthaxanthin gives orange and red. Astaxanthin and echinion is red color and tetraxanthin gives yellow colors. These are different kinds of pigments, carotenoids, which are used in ornamental fish feed. Now, if you want to enhance red color in fish, slide number 28. If you want to enhance the red color in the fish, you should use astaxanthin. Astaxanthin is available commercially in the market. But if you do not have astaxanthin, you can use dried shrimp head or krill, Euphosia superba, if it is available. Otherwise, you can use shrimp head, dried shrimp head, or other small shrimps like javla and all. Acetus, dried acetus meal also gives red color to the fish. Then for orange color, if you want to enhance the orange color, you should use paprika, capsicum, grounded marigold petals. Marigold, dried and grounded marigold petals are very commonly used for enhancing orange color. Paprika is nothing but it's pepper, dried and grounded pepper powder is known as paprika. That also you can add in feed. And I have told the quantity should not exceed more than 5 ppm. And if you want to enhance yellow color, then zeaxanthin and lutein you should use in feed. Again, zeaxanthin is available. If you see commercially available zeaxanthin carotene and yellow carotene. You can and the non-carotenoid pigments, like if you want to enhance the blue coloration in the fishes, you can use phycocyanin. Phycocyanin is available in some of the seaweeds. So you can use seaweed powder in fish feed. I think Kamdenu University and Junagadh Agriculture University has worked on the incorporation of seaweed powder in fish feed. So phycocyanin is one of the important blue color giving component in ornamental fish. Now, recently, this I have taken from a paper published by SIBA. What are the things, how to make feed in COVID-19 lockdown? You can make your feed inside your home without going outside. That I preparation, telling what are the common ingredients used for feed preparation. Then grind it properly. Grinding and sieving is important because you know so many fishes are very small in size, so you should always take care of the size and pellet size of the feed. It should not be very big. If it is very big, fish, your ornamental fish may not take it. And if the size of the feed is very small, nano or micro size of the feed, then fishes will exhaust. They will expend so much of energy in taking that feed, and it will not be giving you desirable result. So you should always consider the mouth size before designing the feed, ornamental fish feed. So weighing, grinding, sieving, and then mixing, you mix it properly. And then because it enhances the gelatinization of carbohydrate, which in turn helps in proper utilization of carbohydrate in fish. And we generally make the dough with the minimum quantity of water and then cook it for 20 minutes. Then you go for pelletization, mechanical pelletizer or handheld pelletizer you can use. Otherwise, if you are having full-plated feed mill, you can use a screw-type extruder machine also, and then dry it and crumble again according to the size of the size you require or the size of the fish. But there are instruments which will make the feed size according to your requirement. If you require round and small, Speronizer is available in market. You can use Speronizer if you want to do it at commercial level, and then pack and use it. This is the Smith. It is, I think, 30th slide I am showing.
Yes, sir.
We have given minutes. This is also taken from publication from Shiva, where they have shown how you can make your own feed for ornamental fishes in your available ingredient in kitchen. You need not to go out during this lockdown period. You can use rice. If it is vegetarian household, you can use rice, maize, wheat, maida. Maida is again flour, wheat flour, but grounded a bit more. Ragi, sorghum, bajra. Minimum 2 sources as per availability, 1:1. And quantity is also given, 350 gram for per kg of feed. Then medium protein, you need not to go for, what I am telling is it is only for 25% protein required. Lentil, tur dal, arhar, whatever gram you are having, you use it to any 2 sources of grams, so that if any amino acid deficiency is there in one, can be compensated with the other. Then soya flour, soya nugget, soya chunks, you can use. Quantity is given 170 or 200. There are two options given. Whichever you feel better, you can use. Then milk powder, 50 gram, again protein source. Groundnut seeds, gingerly seeds, you can use If you want to use, if it is available, you use. Otherwise, you can opt out also. Then palm oil, groundnut oil, soybean oil, mustard oil, gingerly oil. This is exclusively for vegetarian household. You can get it from your house. Otherwise, best is that you should use 50% vegetable oil and 50% of animal oil, mainly fish oil. Then hydrated lime and calcite, mainly for calcium, which is important for their bone development. Even egg during their gravity stage, they require minerals. Then miscellaneous spinach, lettuce, carrot, beetroot, moringa. Moringa is again very good source of vitamin C. Marigold petals, China rose. These are all for pigmentation. You can use 50 gram per kg. And then the process I have shown, grind it, mix it, and then cook it, and then pelletize it. You can use. And if it is non-vegetarian household, same thing, similar thing you can use, except here you can use some 50% of the oil. Lipid source is from fish oil, and then you can use eggs, fish and shrimp. Fish and shrimp waste also you can use 120 gram per kg, and then almost similarly you can palm oil, groundnut oil you can use up to 20 gram per kg. That comes only 2%, but it is important to take care that this is only subsistence feeding. You should for other purpose you should incorporate at least 5 to 8% of the liquids. And then common salt is very important. Common salt, I am not dealing with breeding and all, but some of the fishes are getting excited, and for breeding or ovulation they require common salt. People used to use. And miscellaneous additives, whatever you are having for pigmentation, you can use and make the feed. Smith, that's all from my side. I'll be happy. I do not want to make it very bore and keep on talking. I'll be happy to answer the questions from the participants. If anybody is having any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Yeah.
Smith.
Now session is open for discussion. Thank you very much, sir, for throwing a light on nutritional requirement of ornamental fishes. Really, we are in this lockdown session. Really, participants know how to cook. It is very difficult to reach the shop and buy the food for the ornamental fishes. But we are very much happy to and learn lots of things from your presentation. Now session is open for discussion. Dr. Sajid sir is with us. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Smith,
How are you?
one thing I would like to tell.
Sir, कैसे हैं?
Vitamin. Sir, ठीक हूँ sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Sir, please carry on.
Yes, Smith.
Sir.
Smith, I would like to tell one thing. When adding vitamins, there are different vitamins which can be added, but their unit of measurement is different. So many, if academicians and students are there for their benefit, vitamin A is always represented or denoted in IU. Suppose I am telling 5000 IU of vitamin A you add. So many people may not be knowing what does 5000 IU means. IU means international unit, and it is a unit which can be comparable. Suppose 1 IU for vitamin A is different for 1 IU of vitamin C. That students should understand. 1 IU is biological equivalent for vitamin A. It is 0.3 microgram of retinol or 0.6 microgram of beta carotene. So either you are adding 0.6 microgram of beta carotene or 0.3 microgram of retinol. Both are 1 IU of vitamin A. Okay.
Yes.
And if we want to add 2000 IU of vitamin A, we should use 0.3 microgram into 2000. That will make. If anybody is having any question, I'll be happy to answer, please.
Sir, I just wanted to ask one question.
Huh?
Vivek, sir, Vivek.
Vivek, I could recognize your voice.
Sir, actually, thank you for this beautiful presentation. It was very knowledgeable. And sir, my question is this: as we are aware that ornamental fishes, they are known for their coloration.
Yes.
Means if we are having means growth means if we are having fishes which is having small size but they are colorful, people will love to buy that colorful fish.
Yes.
So, sir, as we are knowing that for feed formulation, the major cost is contributing by protein.
Yes.
But ornamental things means it must be like it should be like for coloration.
Yeah.
So means exactly in ornamental because we know that in market we are having very higher cost of price. So that is for protein or that is for coloration agent. Or where means like how we can reduce it because we are also taking purchasing feed that is very costly. So sir,
Good question.
your
Very
view.
good question. You can say means you mean to ask can we compromise between protein and coloring substance or why
Yes, sir.
the
Yes,
cost is so high? To be
yes,
very
sir.
frank, it is very good question. Being aquaculturist, it is very well known that for any type of culture, either it is ornamental fish culture or food fish culture, uh, feed cost is the maximum cost, and out of feed, protein cost the maximum amount of the. But what happens? You can't reduce the protein quantity. You can't give 10% of the protein to the fishes, and you can give pigments. Suppose you take marigold petals and give in feed in extra quantity, that will not serve the purpose because you need to have inherent coloration, and that inherent coloration will come only if fish is healthy. So if you want to keep your fish healthy, you need to give them the minimum required protein. And the minimum required protein is at least 20 to 25%. There you can't compromise. You can't reduce your protein quantity to 10% and pigment requirement from 5 ppm to 20 ppm. You can't do. If you are reducing your protein quantity from 20 to 10%, the fish itself will not be healthy. And if it is not healthy, their inherent color will not develop. And then no pigment will be able to give the proper color. Am I clear? So
Right,
you
sir.
require to have a minimum protein quantity, and then of course pigmentation is required. For our household aquarium fishes, we are generally using live feed. Then freeze-dried live fishes are also available at very cheaper cost. But if you go to discuss Arauna and all, you need to have tailor-made feed, which is very costly because their pigmentation you must have. I was telling about blue color and green color. You require phycocyanin. Sometimes you require spirulina extract and all. That's why the price is very high. Otherwise, household fishes we can give any live fish and all. I have shown you the fatty acid content of mosquito larvae is better than pubifax and red worm and black worm.
Yes, sir. So what I understood, sir, because of this formulation, like the formulation and the pigmentation incorporation technique that makes ornamental feed costly.
It is costly because so many factors are there. If you are going for all-out coloration, you need to have synthetic carotenoids. Synthetic carotenoids are of course costly, and then they are making floating feed. Floating feed for making floating feed, you require twin screw extruder for maintaining the specific gravity of feed. and then it should be very attractive. You might have seen you are purchasing. It is of different color and perfectly round shape. So for getting that, you require spheronizer. So all these things are adding capital cost to the feed industry, aquarium feed industry, and that's why they are making even there are tailor-made fish for feed for brood fishes. So the cost will of course go high,
So,
but
so
there is no rocket science, to be very frank, in making feed.
yes,
Yes.
sir. Sir, so the finally means that the statement that we are generally using for aquaculture, that for manufacturing or sorry, for a cultural practice, that cost of feed means incur the most thing. It's not hold. It means the cost of protein holds maximum chunk of the cost of production of feed. It will not hold true for ornamental. It is like formulation part as well as coloration, right? Not the protein.
So many things are there. Protein also is there. Even what happens is we need to add another things. I could not explain, like we require lecithin for because when we are doing ornamental fishes, breeding is one of the important activities. So we have to maintain the lipid content, and lipid content mostly for egg development you require phospholipids, which is coming from soy lecithin, omega-3 fatty acid and omega-6 fatty acids, and their ratio is also, people are now providing purified omega-3 and omega-6. Once you are adding omega-3 and omega-6, you need to add antioxidant. We have already added vitamins, sometimes ethoxyquin, BHA, BHT is also used. So many factors are there,
Right.
ornamental fishes, and even pigments also added to the cost.
Right, sir.
Sir,
Thank you,
actually,
sir. Thank you for giving beautiful answer.
Yeah.
sir, Mayur Tandel is asking one question, sir. He is asking about, sir, how we measure the color pigmentation in aquarium fishes and which limit of pigmentation is the best.
Pardon?
Mayur Tandel is asking one question. His question is, sir, how we measure the color pigmentation in aquarium fishes and which limit of pigmentation is the best?
First question I could understand.
Uh,
Second part, what was the question? Which?
of which limit of
Pardon?
pigmentation, yeah, pigmentation are there.
Which pigmentation?
Ah,
What happens, skin color pigmentation you can measure very well. There are color counter. Hunter color meter is available in the market. I think we also are having that Hunter color meter. We used to some of the fishes like rainbow fish, salmon and all, fillet color is very important. So in processing plant, we used to measure the pigmentation by Hunter color meter. There is an instrument and there is a formula how to color. Now, how to measure the color or pigmentation. So Hunter color meter is a very cheap, 2.5 lakh rupees instrument. College of Fisheries, Veravel also has having. Sometime I have also used in processing department. So one thing is, I think, answered. You can measure the pigmentation by Hunter color meter, and then another part, which pigment is better? Smith.
he is asking, sir, which 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 limit of pigmentation is the best? Means he is asking about the limit of pigmentation that would be added. At which concentration we should add the pigmentation?
Pigments. There are. If he wants, I can. He is fisheries professional.
I don't know, sir. Actually, there are.
And I am telling pigments, generally the notion is we should not add more than 5 ppm. 5 ppm means 5 milligram per kg of feed, and then there is a ration I have given in my presentation. So we should not use more than 5 ppm of pigments in feed. Okay, because suppose carotenoid, of course, you can add. Carotenoid is like beta carotene is nothing but it's 2 molecule of vitamin A. There are 2 isoprene rings present in beta carotenoid. If you, it's a 40 carbon compound. If you break it, it will give 2 vitamin A molecules. So if you are adding beta carotene as such, there won't be any harm if you are going little above 5 ppm. But what happens, even if beta carotene you are adding in excess of that, what will happen is vitamin A quantity you are adding in vitamin along with vitamin, and from beta carotene also it is coming, then there is chances of getting vitaminosis. So we should not add it in excess quantity. We should restrict it to 5 ppm.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Hi, thank you, sir. Any other questions from student side? Shreyas Bhandari has one question, sir. He is asking, why are oxycarotenoids mainly responsible for the coloration in fishes, and why not oxy-free carotenoids?
May I know his introduction? Where is he from?
Sir, I don't know. Actually, many of the entrepreneur students and academicians are joined in the session.
I'll answer it. I'll just go to the slides. No, because it is very academic question, it is good. I'll just go to the oxygen-free carotenoids and oxycarotenoids. Genthophyll, oxycarotenoids, of course, what happens is, if you are having oxygen in a carotene compound, as I have told, it is 40 carbon compound, 2 isoprene rings present both the sides, and there is an extra oxygen. So extra oxygen, what will happen, it will the configuration will make the presence of oxygen will make the configuration of 3D configuration of the molecule in such a way that it will absorb most of the color pigments, most of the pigments. It will give extra attachment side, and it will absorb most of the pigment things except yellow. Okay, so it will enhance the absorption of other colors. Okay, Smith.
Sir, actually, he has given his introduction. He is from, yeah, sir. Hello.
Smith.
He has given his introduction, sir. He is from
Yeah,
College
tell
of
me,
Fisheries,
Smith.
Mangalore, sir.
Okay. Mangalore. Okay, Mangalore. I'll also be talking on this. College of Fisheries also requested, so I'll be giving a talk here to the College of Fisheries, Mangalore.
Yeah. So thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Now, I think everyone is satisfied, and thank you for sir accepting our request to deliver lecture. On behalf of Kamdena Parivar and team, we are very thankful to you.
I'll be very happy to deliver a lecture. So many things I could not include because a separate chapter is there for live feed for ornamental fishes. That I have excluded purposefully because of limited time. But anytime I'll be happy, or you can receive their question and will be happy to answer and solve their queries. Okay.